Greetings and welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. And we will, of course, start out basics. Let's see. I don't know if there's a lot of general announcements. We'll have a couple more videos coming out. I should have one out for Saturday. We will see what my schedule looks like tomorrow. But I also have to head out and do a few things this weekend that are not typical, so there's that. I did get a new front-facing light, so hopefully the light balance is a little bit better. My old one kept on flickering on me, and just the power button didn't work as well as it used to, which was kind of a bummer. So I went with a nice big one that actually has a really huge diffusion thing, so hopefully lighting's good. I might still need to adjust it a little bit from time to time. Let's see. I think it's already maxed out on the one end, but hopefully the lighting is good and maybe even slightly improved, but we'll continue to work with that a little bit. Let me see. Can I? Yeah, we can. We'll just kind of keep it like that. That'll work for me. And I hope everybody had a wonderful week. We will kind of get on into our news here. If you want to support the channel, of course, have a look at our affiliates page, switchedtolinux.com/support/affiliates. And I do have a statement there that I do monitor the affiliates, and I don't like working with companies just because they want to pay me for it. I've actually booted companies out of here before, so you can have a look over there. We do, of course, have a merch store at shop.switchedtolinux.com, so you can pick up hats or T-shirts or even, hey, maybe baby onesies with aliens in tinfoil hats. That'll mess up your mother-in-law, right? So you can pick up any of those types of things at shop.switchedtolinux.com. And with that, we're going to jump on into our very first topic. And our very first topic today deals with our question of the Minority Report. Where is my Minority Report? Of course, if you have not seen that movie or have not seen it in a while, I'll remind you the Minority Report movie is a fascinating dystopian future where there are these precogs, and we'll leave out how that happened, monetization type stuff and behind. But these precogs can basically predict crimes and predict when people are going to commit crimes before it happens. So we have a whole new version of the police which arrests people before they actually commit crime. And the question of the movie is there's a few different moral points. One of those is, can we change the future? One of those is, can we learn from the potential future? Another one of those is, can we actually arrest somebody on what they might do rather than what they have done? Because it raises that question. A lot of the policing around the world has classically been, and constitutionally is, you really got to wait until there's a crime and then bust the criminal. Unfortunately, there's been a big push lately to begin criminalizing or detecting crime before it even happens. There were controversies in predictive policing models. Most of the controversy around those is they tended to, in the predictive policing models that have been deployed, they have gone out and they have went ahead and utilized various crime stats, and looking at the number of crime stats, they deployed police officers in places that had a higher percentage chance of crime. So then the police would be in heightened presence in high crime areas. Unfortunately, every one of those models, for whatever reason we may want to or not want to discuss, it tended to put more police officers in predominantly black neighborhoods, decrying issues of racism all over the place. And so was that because of inherent racism? Was that because of certain groups may on aggregate commit more crimes? That's a completely different discussion for a completely different place. Because, of course, if you clicked on a channel called Switch to Linux, we're not really interested in political ends. We are interested in technological ends. And unfortunately, what is going on right now is we are starting to, as every movement happens, if you look at how Mao Zedong took over China, he did it through a youth movement. If you look at how the radicals are trying to take over, they're always doing it through the youth movement. Even the things that we see in our own country, it's not Democrat, Republican. It happens to be a basic Marxist subculture that is coming up. It tends to align itself with one party a little bit more than the other, but still, it's not that party. It happens to be a grassroots movement within that party, mostly predominated by the youth. And so what you have to do is you have to convince the youth that something is okay. Enter the discussion we want to talk about, which is utilizing full-fledged spy capabilities. We're talking we're talking more terrifying and intrusive than 1984 levels of spying and intrusion, utilizing AI not to necessarily make it all safer, but to declare you a criminal before you've actually committed a crime with a stunning false positive rate. And so looking at Security 101 here, of course, this is one of these blogs that the higher levels in school districts like to read. I am a technical guy. I read Security 101 because I happen to be the principal going for the superintendent role. So I want to sound academic and scholarly. And so articles like this come out. This is from March 2025, Empowering Educational Institutions Through AI Surveillance. How wonderful. So, and this isn't like... We talked about the AI cameras, and we talked about my opinions on that in a video a few weeks ago. But what this one actually goes a lot deeper. This one here, the article does seem to be a little bit more about the cameras. And as I'd argued before, if you want to utilize camera systems looking at the outside perimeter to identify threats that may enter, I think that's probably a better thing. But if you are utilizing these things to literally spy on and use AI to detect what you perceive might happen to be potentially warning behavior, and then you just call the authorities immediately, we are introducing more problems than we know what to do with. So this group here, ensuring safety within educational institutions is paramount. From bustling campus halls to expansive school grounds, creating a secure environment for students, staff, and visitors requires foresight and resilience. Levering real-time monitoring, intelligent threat detection, and swift emergency response capabilities. In other words, we'll call the police for you. And of course, you know, that always works well, particularly you look at the swatting incidences. There's no real due diligence. They have a report that there's a danger. They go in like there's a danger. And that's what they're trained to do. And that's generally okay as long as we have safeguards in position. So talking about real-time monitoring, AI-driven cameras and sensors enable continuous monitoring of school premises. Unlike traditional systems, the AI ones can analyze live video times in real time to detect anomalies like unauthorized access, suspicious activities, or constitutionally protected events like gathering up together. It's really hilarious, isn't it? Because we have a constitutional right to assembly, but here the AI cameras are set to detect crowd formations that hint at potential disruptions. Oh, excuse me, they're engaging in constitutionally protected stuff. Call the cops, you know. And so these systems come out, though, and of course they justify it, as one of the sites we're going to look at here. They justify it by saying, well, the school has the imperative to keep everybody safe, so this isn't bad. We have the right to spy on everything that you do when you're in the school system that the state forces you to go into. Oh, okay. So it seems like a constitutional violation. Interesting. So looking at the intelligent threat detection powered by AI isn't just reactive, it's predictive. So I guess it'll be calling the police a lot more in school systems that tend towards higher increases of melanin in the skin. Is that the one that makes you a little bit darker? Or melatonin. I always get that one mixed up with like the sleep aid melanin type stuff, right? But anyway, benefits of AI in educational, safer learning environments. AI surveillance creates secure, distraction-free settings where students and educators can focus on what matters most, like, you know, being perpetually spied on by an AI system. How wonderful. Addressing the privacy and concerns. This is good. Transparency and okay, this is about privacy. This is what they're right. Schools and universities should communicate openly with students, parents, and staff about how AI surveillance technologies are used and why they're beneficial. There's nothing privacy about that. Stop pretending. We as a culture need to stop pretending that telling you we are invading your privacy equals not privacy. Privacy means you're not spying on me, but clearly you're spying on me if an AI camera is detecting everything that I happen to be doing. And so in light of that, what I want to mention here is that transparency about what you're doing equals not privacy. We need to not let them do this discussion things. Privacy first features. Modern AI tools can anonymize data and filter footage to focus strictly on security insights. And I'm going to say absolutely that does not happen, as we are going to learn about a student that was immediately had the police called on them because the AI detected some anomaly that required a police response. There is no anonymization in this except the data that they are giving to other people about the alleged protections that the system has done. But this is being forced upon us. Look at this behavioral recognition. AI advancements will allow more nuanced detection capabilities, such as identifying heightened stress levels or potentially harmful behavior in students, enabling early intervention. The early intervention seems to be explicitly limited to calling the police on them, as we will see. So that is, of course, what the security blogs have to say. Here's one of the very ominous companies that do this. Like, look at this site. Look at the sad, dead eyes in all of these children. This is supposed to be a company that is designed to allegedly keep your children safe in an academic institution. However, when their system went rogue and called the police on a 13-year-old who was arrested, held in solitary confinement, stripped naked in front of cameras at a police station, and they never let her parents know, the CEO of this company, who's allegedly there for that, they turn around and blame the school for not using our product correctly. Interesting, isn't it? Look at these dead eyes in all of these kids. This is not the advertisement I want if I'm talking about keeping my school system safe. Why is every child here look like they're under duress and stress? Blink twice if you're okay, children. Blink twice, okay? Blink once if you need some help. I mean, this is crazy. But this is just some company. And by the way, they're like gaggle.net. Like .net. I've never seen anything so unprofessional in my life. But these guys allegedly have over 1,500 schools that they allegedly keep safe. And somehow I got into their privacy. Let's see, student staff privacy, website privacy. I got to find, I should have actually pulled out the actual place here to show you the privacy stuff. But here's data security, of course, data collection, definitions, scope, policies. That's the general one. I was looking for, okay, I think it's the Privacy Center. So our commitment to privacy, of course, federal privacy laws, you know, blah, blah, blah. We do all of these laws that you have signed away because you're here. They're going to completely block anything that's bad and call the police on you, by the way. And then we minimize exposure of student information, except when we use it to call the police on you, you know. And then there's the private accounts. It does not monitor students' social media accounts, personal email accounts, personal devices or web browsers. It only monitors content activities such as documents or chat messages produced using a school-owned device, email address, or online tools within Google Workspace for educators, Microsoft 365, Google Chat, Microsoft Teams, and the Canvas Learning Management System. So it sits on top of the pre-existing stuff that you have, and then it's going to basically spy on everything you're doing. However, it's not just school-owned, because I have told this story before, but the kid that I mentored when he was in high school, they had all Google accounts, and he had bought a Chromebook with his own money. And, you know, he was using that for some of his homework. And so the school system, I guess he had it in school one day, the school system basically made it theirs by locking out all of the DNS except the school system. And so he calls me one day and he's like, hey, I can't access anything on my computer. Our internet's fine. So I go over to his house. I look at the computer, and this is where I discovered that the school had changed all the DNS settings on his computer, that even if he's at home, everything he was doing on the computer was being monitored by his school system. Even though it was his computer, he was using it at his house. He had no idea about that. His parents had no idea about that. So and the only reason we knew about it is because that day there happened to be a Google outage in the school system. And so I identified that. I released all of that stuff and sent him back control of his own computer now so that he could use his own computer. But the fact of the matter is he had no idea that his own computer that he bought with his own money, used at his own internet, at his own house, everything was still being monitored by the school district. And that's the type of stuff that causes serious serious issues with trust and things like that. Of course, rigorous training. We requires its safety team employees to complete rigorous training, including implicit bias training to mitigate any false flags and ensure our team is well informed until a hacker comes in with about $5,000 and says, want to give us some information? And then we'll see how well trained your team happens to be, as you're probably paying. My guess is these people, by the way, if we were to dig into this, my guess is going to be that they're rigorously trained safety team employees are probably third world contractors, because that's what most small companies like this are doing. So I don't know for sure. That's just a guess. Of course, it prioritizes data privacy. Of course, it doesn't sell student or staff information. You're not allowed to by law. Doesn't behaviorally target advertising. Doesn't change the privacy policy. Oh, it is transparent about the collection and use of data. Yeah, we are very transparent. We're going to call the police on you if you make a joke. That's right. And then there's some basic things for students. This was good down here. Why are you looking at what I do online? Some kids don't know how to ask for help, and their friends, family, teachers may not even know how much they're struggling. Gaggle monitors all content produced on your school-issued accounts to help ensure that every single student in the district receives the same level of support and safety. Sounds really 1984 to me. I mean, in all honesty, but we're just there to protect the kids, okay? We're going to send you to the police and traumatize you for the rest of your life. That's exactly what we're going to do, and that is precisely what happened. This Tennessee girl was strip searched, put in solitary confinement, sentenced to house arrest because the school's AI surveillance system program didn't understand her joke. What was the system? Gaggle.net, the one we were just looking at. What are you in for? AI didn't get my joke. Yeah, that's wonderful. 13-year-old 8th grader from a middle school in Tennessee arrested and sentenced to 8 weeks of house arrest, a psychological evaluation, 20 days at an alternative school, all because her school's AI program flagged a conversation she had with her friends on the school-issued devices. So the joke was bad, okay? It was not a good joke. She shouldn't have said it. The girl's friends were teasing her about her tanned complexion, so apparently she's tanned, and called her a Mexican, which sounds to me like maybe you should have arrested all of her friends because they were making, what do we call it? I don't even know, like, do we call them like racist against Mexicans, right? I mean, it sounds like, why didn't the police come and arrest the friends? But she said, she's not Mexican. When a friend asked what she was planning on Thursday, she wrote, Thursday we kill the Mexicos. That's a really stupid joke. Yeah, she shouldn't have said that. But she's a 13-year-old. Okay, by definition, a 13-year-old is just waking up from the pre-adolescent brain deadness that accompanies every 13-year-old. 13-year-olds say stupid things. 13-year-olds do stupid things. I'm just glad that the internet and tracking and monitoring devices were not around when I was 13 years old, or I would have probably been locked up in a padded cell long ago, okay? But the fact of the matter is, deploying all this stuff is dangerous for kids going through the things that we go through in growing up. And this stuff follows you around and is perpetually watching. So any irrational person would understand this was not a serious comment. However, the school uses Gaggle's AI program to monitor their chat for threats. It's a machine, doesn't understand context. Immediately, it flagged the sentence as a threat to the Mexicans, okay? And so it's AI. What do you expect? So what happened? Rather than doing their due diligence, digging into the context, the school's personnel immediately alerted the police. They promptly arrested the girl, drove her to the police station, strip searched her, forced her to shower on camera, coerced her into signing documents she didn't understand without a lawyer, and threw her into solitary confinement for 24 hours. And by the way, they never alerted her parents. Her parents didn't even know where she was. When they finally found out what happened, they were not allowed any contact until after the solitary confinement period was completed, and a judge later kept up the lack of due diligence and rationality, ruling the poor girl was probably mentally retarded. Sounds like the judge needs some retraining too. That sounds to me like she's I don't know what the phobic is for that one, but sounds to me like she's prejudiced against people who are mentally retarded. So maybe she needs to be strip searched and sent to jail herself. Okay, I mean, there's a lot of people here you could flag if you wanted to, if we're going with what they're doing. She ordered a psych evaluation followed by putting her under house arrest, where she was not allowed contact with anyone but her parents. And then while she's under house arrest, the school files truancy charges against her parents for not having her in school. What the world is up with this school district, right? So Gaggle alerted more than 1,200 incidents to Lawrence, Texas. The district, in a recent 10-month period, almost 2/3 of the alerts were deemed by school officials to be non-issues, including over 200 false alarms for student homework, according to Associated Press analysis. So students in one photography class were called to the principal's office over concerns that Gaggle had detected nudity. The photos had been automatically deleted because, of course, they had to be. We must flag them, call them bad, and then delete the evidence. How much more 1984 do you get than that? Okay, awesome. But then the students did have backups on their personal accounts, so they showed the images, and the principal's like, well, I guess since you have proof to exonerate yourself, since the AI found you guilty, I guess we'll have to let you go this time. But be warned, Gaggle will be watching you. Yeah. So this woman who was flagged in 2024 said she was flagged for editing a friend's college essay because it simply had the word mental health. Yeah, okay. So the AP article here goes in a little bit more detail. So before the morning was over, the 8th grader was under arrest. She was interrogated, strip searched, spent the night in a jail cell, her mother says. The surveillance system in American schools is increasingly monitor everything students write on school accounts and devices. Thousands of school districts are using software like Gaggle and Lightspeed Alert to track kids' online activities, looking for signs they might hurt themselves or others. With the help of artificial intelligence, they can dip into online conversations and immediately notify both school officials and law enforcement. Okay, so educators say the technology has saved lives. Critics warn it can criminalize children for careless words. It has routinized law enforcement access and presence in students' lives, including in their home, Elizabeth Laird says. So among the Tennessee, let's see, in a country wary of school shootings, several states have taken the harder line. Among them is Tennessee, which passed a 2023 stupid zero tolerance law requiring any threat of mass violence at the school to be reported immediately to law enforcement. Okay, so this girl was arrested, presumably under that law, taken to jail, interrogated, strip searched. Her parents were not even allowed to talk to her until the next day, according to the lawsuit. Of course, they filed the lawsuit. This all happened 2 years ago. They filed the lawsuit against the school system, and I got to say, serious consequences have to happen for like everybody involved in the law, the legal system. And I think police officers need to lose their badges. I think school board needs to be immediately eliminated. I think Gaggle needs to be completely stripped out of that system. We need to go scorched earth on this nonsense because this is garbage. Okay, Gaggle CEO Jeff Patterson said in an interview that the school system did not use the Gaggle in the way intended. The purpose is to find early warnings and intervene before problems escalate to law enforcement, he says. I wish that was treated as a teachable moment, not a law enforcement moment, he says. So it's not our AI system. You guys just used it wrong. This is like a word faith lunatic up there preaching. You just got to name it and claim it and be healed. Put your hand on my hand on the television screen. Be gone, you demons. All right. And then, of course, when it doesn't happen, you're just doing it wrong. You have lost your faith. And that is what is going on here with Gaggle. So, of course, the students who think they are chatting privately among friends do not realize they are under constant surveillance, says an educational lawyer. One teenage girl she represented made a joke about school shootings on a private Snapchat story. Snapchat's automated detection software picked up the comment. The company alerted the FBI, and the girl was arrested on school grounds within hours. Snapchat ain't quite as private as you think it is, folks. So Amy Bennett, chief of staff for Lightspeed Systems, said the software helps understaffed schools be proactive rather than punitive by identifying early warning signs of bullying, self-harm, violence, or abuse. Yes, and then we'll just send you right on over to the police immediately. All right, because that's what happens when you give this stuff over to AI. 500 Gaggle alerts over 4 years, officers said in a public Board of Education meeting. This led to 72 involuntary hospitalization cases under the Baker Act, a state law that allows authorities to require mental health evaluations for people against their will if they pose a risk of harm to themselves and others. So now we have the robots declaring that you happen to be unfit. No human wants to get involved because it's all I don't want the liability. Let the AI do its thing. And so now let's just start involuntarily institutionalizing children for growing up. Are you ready to homeschool yet, folks? Way better education system out there. An analysis shows a high rate of false alarms. This is where the AP did some work here. Information that could allow schools to assess software's effectiveness, such as the rise of false alerts, is closely held to technology companies and unavailable publicly unless the schools track the data themselves. Gaggle alerted more than 1,200 incidents to Lawrence, Kansas school district in a 10-month period. Almost 2/3 of those were deemed by the school officials to be non-issues. 200 false alarms from student homework alone. So don't do your homework. The AI will find you and snitch on you. This is like, is this worse than a spell cast by Dolores Umbridge? I mean, cast some spell. I mean, imagine if they thought of this type of surveillance in Harry Potter. I mean, come on, man. I want to see this. I mean, eek. The photos had been, this is the one where concerned about photos, the AI pronounced them guilty, so they had to prove their innocence. How wonderful. So this person was flagged for editing the words of mental health. And this person says, I think ideally we wouldn't stick a new and shiny solution of AI on a deep-rooted issue of teenage mental health and the self-deletory rates in America, but that's where we are right now, this person says. She was among a group of student journalists and artists at Lawrence High School who filed a lawsuit against the school system last week, alleging Gaggle subjected them to unconstitutional surveillance. Yes. Don't forget, we have the right to privacy, particularly. Now, understand this. The right to privacy is not something that the Constitution grants a company. So the cell phone company spying on you through the phone, which we're going to talk about next, okay, that is not unconstitutional because the Constitution is a binding agreement between the government and the people. But the public school is a government entity. That means the Constitution applies. And under any form of a logical constitutional test, under no circumstance can a child be spied on by an AI system because the school system is a public government program. It is completely and totally unconstitutional. Now, if they were in a private school, it might be a different case. So I'm hoping that these suits go together, and I hope that what was this guy? Poor Jeff Patterson. I hope he loses his job because I hope that Gaggle is immediately closed. Okay, sorry, man. You're the CEO of this one. Go find some other dystopian company to found until we can find a way to unconstitutionally ban that one too. This guy says sometimes you have to look at the trade for the greater good. Oh, yes. Let's go ahead and institutionalize 72 children under an unconstitutional Baker Act at the dictate of an AI for the greater good. You're going to have 72 people who completely hate authority, do not trust you anymore, and will turn into people that will fight against you at every step. I know, because I have a friend that got caught up in a zero tolerance policy of the school for something so stupid, and he did everything so right. They still suspended him, and he comes back, and the resource officer's there, and the superintendent, and the principal says, "So, what did you learn from this?" He says, "I learned to never trust authority." And he has been an anarchist ever since. A kid that wanted to go into the military. He wanted to do a lot of really good things, and he was completely turned off by a stupid zero tolerance, by a stupid school district who did not have a rational thought in their head. They had a plus minus 0-1 digital mentality, and it always leads to destruction. And that is what we see going on here. It's like we just want the kids to be little soldiers, and they're not, said Matthias. They're just humans. Amen to that. Okay, so there is your Minority Report. The AI is out there having a look at what's going on. And as I did promise, the next section we're going to be looking at apps, and they are spying on you a whole lot. So here's our second grouping. Now, the first one, I looked at this particular article. I said, this article is just nonsense. I mean, anybody with any form of rational thought will understand that these 5 apps are tracking you way more than you think. What could these 5 apps be? I mean, this is just 5 super secret apps, guys. They're just tracking you and tracking you and tracking you. What could they possibly be? Number 1's Google Chrome. Well, tell me something I didn't know. Google is out there tracking me. Call me shocked. All right. Of course, this is a web browser. Of course, if you're using Google Chrome, it has a lot more tracking embedders tracked in than something like Firefox. Of course, you could go with DuckDuckGo has a phone browser. There is a Firefox Clar or Firefox Focus, same browser, different name. It depends. Do you get it from the Play Store or from something like F-Droid? And that is actually, I want that for the desktop. That particular version of Firefox has no capability of any form of tracking. It can't use a microphone. It can't use a camera. Can't use anything. So I couldn't get onto it and do a Jitsi call, but it doesn't track anything I do. It can't access geolocation. It can't access gyroscopes. It can do nothing but get on the internet. That is your ideal thing. The DuckDuckGo browser, I think the Brave browser probably can do that on mobile. Firefox Focus, Firefox Clar, those are two really good ones. So don't use Google Chrome. It does indeed track you a whole lot. For obvious reasons, it's Google, duh. Amazon Alexa. So you're telling me that a speaker system that is perpetually listening to you doesn't respect your user privacy? Well, color me shocked once again. Okay. And we are getting somewhere good in this, by the way. I mean, this is all obviously Facebook. You mean Facebook tracks my data? I mean, it's not like they would use, they would build like turn servers in the application to subjugate the sandbox. Oh, wait, yeah, they did that. I guess maybe they'll build an internal server to share data back and forth, bypassing the sandboxing. Oh yes, they did that too. Yeah, Facebook. Don't use Facebook on your device. If you have to use Facebook on a mobile phone, once again, use Firefox Clar, log into it. There you go. So obviously, Uber Eats. Oh, really? Uber Eats, you know, the application tracks all of your data so it can verify that you are the one ordering it and where it needs to go and blah, blah, blah. So, of course, Uber Eats, they're also working on those backdoor deals to harvest as much data as possible to, you know, get a little bit of funds from there. And then TikTok. You mean TikTok, the Chinese company that literally exists to harvest data and process it through their AI systems, is collecting my data? Color me shocked. So these 5 apps, obviously, anybody could tell you with functioning brains that those apps actually track you. But I'll remember there's other apps out there that you didn't think quite as much. This came out earlier this year, and in January we covered this kind of stuff. This is when Allstate created their own little company. And then they basically sold an analytics package to GasBuddy. I mean, you're wondering why GasBuddy was paying guys like Matt Walsh thousands and thousands of dollars to promote a free app. I mean, they're just a deeply altruistic. I mean, it's just some deeply altruistic company that just has super deep pockets, and they just really want to help the end user just save as much money on gas as possible. So they're just going to pay all sorts of these big name creators thousands and thousands of dollars to tell people to download the free app. They are so altruistic. Isn't that amazing? Don't you guys feel wonderful for living in this world we live in right now? These people are just so altruistic. No. Because it goes back to those little black boxes the insurance companies want to put in your vehicles. They're like, you know, you can save up to 10%. Put this little black GPS gyroscopic box in your car. It'll track everywhere you drive, when you drive, how fast you accelerate, how fast you decelerate, how quickly you take turns, you know, things like this, blah, blah, blah. We're going to take all this data, aggregate it together. If you happen to be at what we think is the safest group, you'll save 10%. If you're in the 80% group, you won't save nothing. You will just collect all your data. And if you're in that really bad group, you're actually going to pay 10% more. So, you know, it's net win for us. You know, we know what's going on. And shockingly, actually kind of shockingly, a lot of people are like, I don't really want to put that in my car. And so you've noticed that most insurance companies aren't pushing these anymore. Well, that's because Allstate had a really neat idea. They would just create their own little data analytics company and simply sell a marker to be installed in all sorts of apps that you install for free on your phone. And you agreed to share that data because you had to install the thing and, you know, save 5 cents on your gas or something. And then the phone is perpetually running in the background and collecting even more data than those little black boxes did. And then they went ahead and turned and sold it to all of their buddies. Isn't that awesome? So they did that with GasBuddy. They did it with Life 360 routinely. They quietly tracked drivers to adjust or even cancel their policies. In fact, I'm wondering if this is why, like, 1 year, right about the time this stuff was going on secretly, my insurance rates went almost doubled. I'm like, no accidents, no issues. Like, what's going on here? I literally think it's because I don't use any apps on anything. They had no data on me, and so they threw me in the lowest end. I really think that's probably what happened. I wonder if I could sue them for that. That'd be interesting. But Allstate and Arity, so Arity is the name of their company there, the mobility and data analytics app. They founded in 2016. They collected trillions of miles worth of location data from 45 million people, used the data to adjust rates according to a Texas lawsuit. And so basically they also turned around and sold that data to a bunch of other people. And that ended up exposing this particular company, which is probably still out there because we love getting outraged and then we like moving on to the next outrage so we can be perpetually outraged and nothing happens about the previous outrage. So we are still all being spied on by these things, and we still have Gas Buddy installed despite the average person is probably stays within the boundaries of their own town, and you probably don't need an app to tell you where the cheapest gas is in your town. Just a thought. Just a thought. But if I wasn't justified enough, because I've been beating this drum for a decade, guys. I've been beating this drum for a decade, and a lot of people are just sitting here going, I don't know, Richard sounds all paranoid. There's no evidence. There's no proof. Well, now we got a court case. Because this goes back to an article. We probably covered this a long time ago, maybe when we first started the channel, but there was the Flow app. The Flow app, you put it on your phone, then you answered all sorts of probing questions about your particular time of the month. If you happen to be a lady, it collected all of this data, and it turns out that despite them promising to be super private with all of your data, they were just turning around and giving it to everybody who wanted it, including Facebook and Google. And so the questions here, basically the questions here ruled out down to say, hey, they're doing this. It's illegal for them to be doing this, mostly because they didn't disclose it. Of course, if they'd simply disclosed it, that'd be fine. It's just, the two people that read the privacy policy, one of them might raise the alarms and cause a little PR storm for a couple of weeks. They didn't want to risk that, so they just kind of quietly sold the data because it's Google and Facebook. They get data from all over the place. How can we track it back to our app? Well, they did, and Erica Francisco brought a class action lawsuit against Meta in 2021 following the report about the privacy infractions by the Wall Street Journal in 2019. This ranged from the timing, comfort levels. These are the various questions the thing would ask frequently. The timing, comfort levels of cycles, the mood swings, the preferred control methods, and the level of wows in the romanticism of their life. So the Flow Health promised not to save this data with third parties, not to share the data with third parties unless it was necessary. However, between 2016 and 2019, Flow Health shared that intimate data with companies including Facebook and Google, along with mobile marketing firm AppsFlyer, Yahoo-owned mobile analytics firm Flurry. So basically anybody and everybody. The terms of service governing Flow's health agreement with the third parties allowed them to use the data for their own purposes, completely unrelated. So the company says, we will not share your data, except you kind of allowed us to share your data. But then they're going to share the data, but they do not make any requirements about what the third parties were allowed to do. And so that is what's at the crux of this. They decided to open up the suits. So, of course, this is the I think the Flow public relations officer. You can tell they're lying because their mouth is moving here. We are committed to keeping that trust, which is why our policy as a company is to take every step to ensure individuals' user data and privacy rights are protected. I am just a PR person. That's just what I'm paid to say. And of course it was a complete and utter lie. The person needs to shut up because a jury had found her false. First, it started with the FTC investigated it, and they settled with Flow Health in 2021, imposing an independent review of the privacy policy and mandated that it not misrepresent an app. Google and Flow Health have both settled with the plaintiffs already, but Meta's like, you can't get us. Well, the jury just decided to slap Meta around a little bit. I would really love it if it hurts them enough that Mark Zuckerberg will have to stop building his doomsday bunker in Hawaii. Why he's building it on an island with active volcanoes is beyond me. But anyway, I guess he's got enough money to build a doomsday bunker to fill it up with lava and then build another one somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe he'll be in there when it fills up. I don't know. But we could simply say, don't use Flow Health app, but the app was trusted until it was found out. How many others sharing data in similarly irresponsible ways? Increasingly, we lean towards simply not using apps to track sensitive data of this kind at all. And so that really is the question. Yeah, we can say don't use Flow Health app, but every app is doing this, folks. This is why I've been an advocate for a long time. Do not use apps unless those apps are very, very specifically you've vetted them, you understand where they're coming from. Like, you do not need to use your banking apps on your phone. In fact, you shouldn't be doing banking on your phone anyway. There's too many banking Trojans out there looking for people using their phones. Like, go to the computer, have a separate, I show you how to do this on my channel. I show you how to build a separate operating system just for your banks. Nothing ever happens on that little operating system, on that little drive, except banking stuff. Completely minimizes that risk of being hacked. Do your online banking there. Infinitely more secure than these bank apps, which are thrown together by fly-by-night companies, because your average banking company, that they're not like, if you get like a, I don't know, like a Chase or a Discover, some huge company, they probably might have an internal team. But even them, I mean, what corporation do you know that's is going to bring on a big development team to manage their app in-house when you can just outsource it to like Pakistan or something, you know? And so don't use apps, guys, on your phone. Do not use apps unless you are absolutely thoroughly sure you can trust them. Because even basic apps, most apps are so basic, they're basically a web browser with extra trackers built in. You can do everything that app can do on the website on a mobile browser, like Firefox Claw, Firefox Focus, DuckDuckGo, or Brave. Use those instead. And so this is going to bring us into our last one, and this one's going to be a quick one for sure. But I did want to address all these Salesforce breaches, which is kind of frightening because one of the big companies I have to work with on one level, they just ditched their internal system and went to Salesforce. So I'm thinking, oh, Lord, how long before they're hacked too? And so Google, Adidas, and more were breached in a Salesforce scam. So this is by the Shiny Hunters guys. And the real kick in the butt about this one is that it's Google's threat intelligence group originally uncovered the hacking campaign in June, announced it to the world, and then Google itself fell victim to the very same tactics in the very same company that they've already exposed. This ain't even SillyVille yet, folks. All right, so basically what these shiny hunters are doing is there is a serious security issue with Salesforce, and that's that Salesforce will allow you to get in there with an API for a variety of different data sharing with different endpoints. Well, these guys are just really good social engineers. They simply call you up pretending to be Salesforce. They'll call up whatever team is supposed to be implementing Salesforce on the company side, and they will basically convince the people that they are actually Salesforce, and then that, hey, we need to update this application in there for your ultimate security. It's got to be done pretty quick. I mean, the security holes are going. You're hearing about all these hacks in the news. So, oh yeah, we got to get right on it. Well, here's the security pin. Okay, I verified the security pin. Great. Let's go. Let's get this in. And boom, they've installed a Trojan. So these guys have gotten into many, many companies. Google, Adidas, Louis Vuitton, Chanel. This is also the one, I think, was it Qantas, I think, also ended up with a breach. This is going back to June. They are still operating in the same exact way, still successful in the same exact way. In this case, they got in there and stole a bunch of data from Google and proceeded to attempt to extort Google. Unfortunately for Google, or unfortunately for them, unfortunately no, for all of us, what was stolen was basically public names, public addresses, public emails of individual businesses that Google was completely annoying calling on the phone or sending emails to about using the ad services. So some of my clients are caught up in there. Hey, I might even have an old disconnected number tied up in that. I remember one of my clients, we run Google ads. And so a couple years ago, I was like, yeah, I'll work with this guy. So, he had my number for my old throwaway phone that I got rid of a long time ago. But he calls up, whatever. We chat really quick. And of course, every one of these guys, I came in and I was like, oh, great. I got like 3 questions. So here's my 3 questions. Okay, we'll get those at the end of the call. And then he just goes through a bunch of crap I already know. And he's like, oh, I got to run. Like, thanks for wasting my time, you moron. And so, I just decided I'm just not talking to those guys anymore because they're not there to help you. Their only purpose is to try and get you to increase your ad budget so that, you can make more money or whatever else, or they can make more money, whatever else. And so they call up one day and I pick up the phone and I go, hey, I'm not really interested in working with you guys anymore. I find you guys not particularly helpful. Take my number off the list. Okay, whatever. Click, hang up the phone. 2 hours later, they call back. Hi, can we schedule a time to get in your account? It's like, hey, moron, I just told you a little bit ago, stop calling me. Take me off your list. We have determined as a company, it is not worth the company paying me to talk to you because you waste our time. Goodbye. 2 hours later, hey, this is Google. Want to schedule a meeting? No, you retard. So, but basically that's what they got is they got that Salesforce database that Google is using to completely harass people that have already said, take me out of your database. So, the good news is they got an old phone number I didn't have. The bad news is, yeah, they probably put my name attached to it. But hey, if they want to attach that old phone number that I haven't had in years with it, that's fine with me, But that's what happened. Of course, audit your Salesforce access. Yes. Train your staff not to be morons. Yes. Use multi-factor authentication, which, by the way, won't help because these guys are good at social engineering. Of course, the same exact things. We're able to get information from Ally's Life in a Salesforce data breach. Oh, look, it's the same guys. It's Shiny Hunter. They're back again. They get a bunch of data. Unfortunately, Ally's Life company, they stored a lot more data in there than just public stuff like Google had. So exposing personal information of most of its 1.4 million customers. So the threat actor was able to obtain personally identifiable data related to the majority of customers, financial professionals, Select Life employees, and by using social engineering techniques. Spy Hunters is a popular crew known to have offered the sale from stolen data sets from tens of major organizations. So there's a whole list of them over there. So basically, these guys are just getting hacked all the time. No, I'm not interested in that. But of course, Salesforce forced to issue data theft warnings as Google confirms it is among the victims. This case here, they attempted to extort Google. Google basically turned around and said, yeah, that's all public information. We're not paying you nothing. So that's good news. But unfortunately, we see a circumstance where Google is now getting all caught up in all of this as well, along with everybody else. So basically, if you are working at a company that utilizes Salesforce in some way, shape, or form, make sure you do not have stupid employees. That would be the best thing that you can do. All right, we're going to spend about 5 or 10 minutes on our comments here. And let's see, we got 52 watching on Zatubi, so I'm going to jump on over here to Matrix. Let's see if anything's going on over here on Matrix. Oh man, lots is going on Matrix. Oh dear. I am stuck at a loading video. Let's see. Did Thomas lose weight? I think I've actually put on a little bit. And I have not had a chance to exercise in about a month. So other than getting basic steps in. My guess is I probably went up, but I don't know. My scale is sitting at the back of my storage unit. I haven't stepped on that thing in about 5 years. YouTube hates Firefox. Not surprised. Lightning looks good. It's pretty uniform. Best article didn't make it into the stream. Oh, which article was that? Okay. Messed up, too noisy. Muting the room. Uh-oh. In moments since I watched the movie, I know it's both good and scary. 1984 was not meant to as a guide, people. Amen to that. Amen to that. I have to wait until after stream so I can properly calculate stuff. Yep. All right. Focus on what matters the most. Due time, you'll see less of the crap, but damage is already done. Yeah, pretty much. Notify school officials and law enforcement. Where were the parents? Are kids properties of the state now? Yes, of course they're properties of the state. That is the point of 1984. Come on, man. Tell people to use F-Droid apps. Yes, use that. Well, we did get a little bit in there to the F-Droid. That's absolutely what I use. All right, let's jump on over here on ZTubies. And it looks like I probably lost a lot of comments there. Misread that. Thought I have a camera watching a light bulb. Let's see. AI would see my cats in the Mexican standoff every night. I think we stop using a lot of this AI stuff. A lot of time gives bad information. Anyway, honestly, I think we should go back to the classic automation and scripts to what used to be called AI. That's right. Amen. Greetings, Keegan. How's it going? Soldier for Christ 73. Also, from what I've heard, AI code is affecting a lot of places and making things worse when AI-assisted coding is supposed to make things better. Yes. Let's see. Never heard of Gaggle. Yeah, unless you work in K through 12 education systems, security administrations, you probably haven't. Let's see. When I was in school, they just used a site blocker. Yep. Yeah, you could pass it with a VPN, but kind of creepy they're using AI. Yes. When I was in school in the late 90s, we had a thing called Bessie Blocker that used server-side website filter to block sites unless a classroom was given full access. When you need an account to use your PC, you can be locked out of it. Yes. Kitty OS, a fuzzy rolling distro. Nice. School only changed the DNS on their local network from my situation. If I remember correctly, sites weren't blocked on the computer itself because I can use them at home. Yeah, what they did with my friends is it was basically an ever-on silent VPN that ran everything through the school's network. I never trust anything that goes on with devices I don't own would be personal or private at all. Yeah, but you don't expect 13-year-olds to think of that, though. And that's the problem, is that we have to give these kids a lot more freedoms than we have. Yeah, and absolutely, we have to make sure they're not being crazy and psychopathic to their friends as well. Cyberbullying is a serious problem. But if it comes down to 1984 dystopian tracking of everything with AI empowerment versus a little bit of cyberbullying, let's do a little bit of cyberbullying and let's just arrest the cyberbully. There's a thought. I would sue the school districts, the police, the state, the AI software company. I think that's what they're doing, actually. It is a pretty big list of people who are there, yes. They did use XP in kindergarten and elementary school, I think, though. Let's see. You're young, man. Honestly, the best Windows. Yeah, XP was pretty nice. Yeah, I like that. Nobody with brains was involved here. That is correct. I'm not sure there's too many people with brains over there. Let's see. Do you know if the computers in the new cars have data already being harvested and sold to insurance companies? They are being harvested and probably sold. We don't know who exactly they're going to, but most new cars are collecting data and at least sending it back to the company. So, yes. I'm outraged by my gossip. All right. All right. Even though I do use things like YouTube in my phone browser rather than the app, unfortunately, some companies gimp their mobile browser versions to force you. Yeah, that is possibly true. I just won't use those particular ones. Sounds good to me, right? Let's see. I've been mixing film for my YouTube and my main phone and my old phone. I think most use the old phone at this point. Yeah. Okay. How Tom manages to use mostly Raspberry Pis. They come a long way, but they're still kind of underpowered. That, to be fair, only Raspberry Pi had the low power ones. Yeah, the Raspberry Pi 5, you put an M2 hat on it and an SSD, you can't tell it's a Raspberry Pi. Now, I don't do things like video production on it, but graphic design, web design, all bunch of other stuff. Oh yeah, that all works great. Late to party, but Tom, that thumbnail's awesome. Why, thank you. Join the conversation over there on Matrix. There you go. Let's see. No ID verification. Let's see. So having a problem with trying to get both a keyboard and a mouse connected to it. All right. Where's Thunder? Make sure and hit that like button. Absolutely. Use straight up vanilla Arch. The Arch install script make things a lot easier. Yes, that is a good one. Dropped in late watching Alaska Sounds. And I missed a good one. All right. Yep. Get the time to get the internet offline before the internet goes. Yeah, there is that application that you can do the internet from the offline. All right, we got 14 watching over on Odyssey, where everyone Odysseyed us. Let's see, Linux Gaming's over there. Are those real children or AI creations? Ooh, on the thumbnail, I believe they are Lego people. I believe that is a Lego arrest going on my thumbnail. Detail is Nate. No emotions. Girl that looks down appears ashamed. Oh yeah, on the Gaggle website. I have no idea. They look like they were just rescued from child traffickers. Honestly, makes me wonder: is Gaggle involved in such acts? Based on the children on their website, I don't know. I think they should be investigated. Hope the kid sues. Yes. Now they're coming for children for speech. They're going to treat children like adults. Why do we have age verification access to the internet? Ooh, there's a good question. Never trust authority. Amen. Yep. Now, of course, the more I live life, the more I think that anyway. But, you know, to strip a teenager of his love for authority so quickly, so rapidly, led that person, by the way, is not living a very good life these days, which is sad because he had a lot of potential. All right, over on Rumble, 16 watching over there. Dan's over there. Greetings, Dan. We've got Dan in the Anchorage. We've got Amos Huckleberry. Greetings, Saw. You were live on YouTube, but it feels better to use Rumble given the option. Amen to that. We are co-streaming on 5 different places. We have YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, Twitch, and the lost stepchild called DLive that eventually I'll get to tearing it down, but why bother? I think I got one really mad person mad at the world swearing at himself over there. I'm not sure. I haven't logged into DLive in a while. Did your AC stop working? You look like you just got out of the water. My AC? Dude, I live in a van. There ain't no AC. Yeah, it's 95 here. It's down to 32C in here right now, and that's about as cool as it's been since about 10 o'clock this morning. So, yeah, just got out of the water. Wish you're comfortable. Van life in a heat wave is not fun and comfortable. And I had to come into town, so I'm basically spending most of my day today in cities, so I can't sit here and open the door anywhere. So, you know. Anyway, that's the case there. Let's go ahead and jump on over to our QuickLines. So first up with our QuickLines, Linux at risk. Recent Intel layoffs threaten key projects, experts warn. A lot of this has to do with the Intel-based wireless drivers and network cards. So if you have Intel-based wireless or network chips, right now they're fine, but they have basically been orphaned in the kernel, and so they will either have to get somebody that chooses to develop them, or they will probably be removed from the kernel. Typically, though, when these types of things happen, these were Intel employees that were working on Linux drivers. They were all laid off because, you know, we got to save our money. The, you know, end of the quarter's coming in. We have to boost our profits for the shareholders. So get out of here, you guys. And that included several people that were working on Intel drivers for the Linux kernel. Usually, though, when this type of thing happens, community members come over, take over, and they generally do a little bit better job. So we'll see what happens. But as of now, Linux kernel mailing list shows several Intel-developed drivers have been marked as orphaned following the exit of key engineers. WWAN, ISOM driver with certain M2 modems found in some Chromebooks. Actually, I know I have one of those in one of my laptops. I know I replaced the old card with a new one that had a lot better, basically the most modern card you could get. And it is an Intel M2 chip, which works well, but for how long? Intel, let's see, Intel PTP DFL TOD driver, which manages time of day functions on certain cards, has been left without support. In addition, the Ethernet RDMA driver lost one of the maintainers, although the other one is still there. So keep an eye out. If you're noticing degradation, that might be possibly why. Next up, Google Gemini will now learn from your chats unless you tell it not to. So they're pushing out an update. If anybody is using Google Gemini, they're pushing out an update that is opt-out. That means they're pushing out an update and it is automatically opted in to sharing your data with the AI in order to train the AI on the comments you have. I guess too many people were turning off sharing data, and Google's like, hey, we need more of that sweet data. So they're pushing out an update. And you'd have to go into your settings and turn that off. They're also pushing out effectively what would be like an incognito mode for Gemini as well. So you can have a temporary situation where it doesn't remember anything about you or previous conversations. But several big changes to how the AI adapts to you. I don't want the AI to adapt to me. Given the ability to remember more details about your chats for improved answers. If that's a concern, they have a new temporary chat option that will not affect the way it thinks about you. That's good news. I don't really want to know what Gemini thinks about me. Gemini is getting an option called Personal Context. When enabled, the chatbot will remember details about your past conversations, adapting its replies without being specifically prompted. That's right. So it is opt-out. You have to turn it off. You can turn off personal context, but temporary chats go a step further. It's essentially incognito mode, that actually works for Gemini. Google labels these as one-off chats, but they're not quite temporary. They will be retained on Google servers for 72 hours, so you can refer back to them and expand on those conversations if you want. Starting September 2nd, a sample of your chats and data, including file uploads, will be used to train Google's AI, or in Google's words, your data will improve Google services for everyone. Of course. I'm going to upload my driver's license to Gemini to see what it thinks of my copy. And yeah. If you don't want to give a license to dump your data into AI models, you will need to opt out. Wonderful. Isn't that cool? Brits are turning from VPNs to proxies to resist the age verification. TechRadar seems to think that VPNs are a silver bullet for privacy online. They're not. I'll remind you that when you're using a VPN, every single thing you do can be seen now by the VPN company. If you can trust the VPN company, this is good news. If you can't trust the VPN company, this is bad news. I will remind you that most VPN companies are all owned by the same central organization, and there is some potential questionable things that they are doing. So I'm not sure I'd trust that entirely. But hey, if you gotta use a VPN to log into Facebook or something from the UK to avoid uploading your data, go for it. But some people in Britain are trying to look at the VPN, so now people are switching over to proxy services. So proxy service is going to work sort of like a VPN, but without the privacy. Basically, it will access a site through a third-party IP, but the record of the IP jumps is still in visibility for your ISP. So a VPN would be better in that respect, but proxies are also a way to do that if you're worried about being profiled for utilizing a VPN entirely. Well, this is a good one. Microsoft Teams and Zoom can be hijacked to give hackers the keys to your kingdom. So this works by both of these servers run a turn server. Now, if you're doing something like a Nextcloud instance with a talk function that has a turn server built in, you're generally immune to this because there's so much overhead to figure out where and how to get into that. But since Zoom and Teams are huge centralized solutions that millions and millions and millions of people use every day, well, they have a lot of your standard turn servers. A turn server is what allows the two-way communication to go over the internet. And they require temporary credentials to get into there that are valid for a couple of days. And so what ends up happening is these hackers are getting in and utilizing the turn server temporary credentials, getting in there. And since all of the data is encrypted, nobody can tell that they're in there or what they happen to be doing. It's kind of funny, really, if you look at what's going on. But they're getting in there utilizing the temporary results. And because, of course, Microsoft Teams and Zoom have so many endpoints, every one of these turn servers is whitelisted by IT companies, allowing complete backdoors that the hackers can get in by utilizing those turn servers to bust into something through their firewalls. And none of it is a bug to the system. The turn server guys look at this going, they're just using our system. We have no way to do this. It's kind of funny. They're just like, I don't know, man. So additionally, the traffic is often end-to-end encrypted using AES or other strong encryption. This means the traffic is naturally heavily obfuscated and impossible to analyze in depth, which makes it the perfect place to hide an attacker. Turn credentials typically expire after 2 to 3 days, so tunnels are short-lived, but alarmingly, Praetorian explains there isn't exactly necessarily a vulnerability for vendors to patch, adding they must instead focus on introducing further safeguards to present against ghost call attacks. How wonderful. Careful those guys. I would encourage you to have a look over at my website and my channel. We have a tutorial on how you can install Jitsi yourself. There's a good way to get around it. All right. I thought this was an article we covered, but apparently it's the same thing happening again to a different vendor. And so the car maker, basically one of the major car makers in the U.S., thousands and thousands of dealerships across the United States, well, they actually all happen to have an issue where they have an insecure portal which links every single car into a centralized database. So if some criminal walks down the street, just looks over into the front window, snaps a picture of that VIN number, they can access this thing through an insecure portal that is created, and they don't really have a means to fix it there. And then the person can just get in there with their app, walk up to a random car, type in the VIN number, and reset that car to use their phone app. So they can literally walk over, snap the VIN number, go into their new administrative account, which is not secure, and bink, unlock that car with their app. Don't you love these cars that can be unlocked with phone apps? Yeah, I kind of want to go back to like totally manual door locks or something. So in this case, he said he chose not to disclose the vendor's name. He revealed its well-known automaker, several thousand popular sub-brands, more than 1,000 dealerships across the United States. Real-life tests learned that taking the vehicle's unique VIN number from the windshield of a car allowed anyone with access to the portal to look up the name of the owner. It was also possible to pair any vehicle with a mobile account, which could then be used remotely to control a car's functions, such as unlocking the vehicle. As we said before, this is exactly the sort of things the FCC wants manufacturers to make it harder for stalkers, not easier. I have a great way to do it. It's very simple. Keep your cars off the internet and release them with full security patches. Now, I understand there could be some security issues with the remote keyless entry. I understand that. But if you keep the cars off the internet, they're going to be a whole lot more secure. Just kind of a thing, you know. There's no legitimate reason I need a phone app to unlock my car. Okay? I just don't need that. Okay? Here's a thought. If I need to unlock my car, I bet I'm walking in proximity to my car. I can take my keys to my car. There's no earthly reason I need to unlock my car from an app. Decadence has crept the society. We are doomed, folks. The decadence is going to crush us all. Tips to keep a stalker from tracking your car. This is wonderful. All right. Use navigation app on your phone, such as Google Maps, Waze, etc., rather than one built in your car. Oh, Lord. We have gone brain dead. Guys, do not use navigation apps on your phone. Not only are you giving too much data to these other companies, but if you happen to be driving outside of a place with cell range, you lose access to that. There are these things. You can go to several different stores and buy. It's a car GPS. It doesn't need the internet. You put it onto your window and you turn it on and you type in an address and it takes you there. Without the internet, without tracking you, without all of these apps, without the phone, it's shocking, guys. It's shocking that you can do that. Consider using a VPN when you connect to your car's hotspot. A car does not need a hotspot. There's no earthly reason I need to connect to a VPN inside my car because I am driving. I don't need my car to have a hotspot. I know. But we got to entertain the kids with the Netflix in the car. Teach your children to drive an hour without Netflix. It will be good for them. Let's keep internet out of the cars. This is good. Familiarize yourself with your car's manufacturer's privacy policy so you know where your data might be sent. Here's a thought. Don't send my data anywhere. Don't connect my car to the internet. Don't collect all this data. Like, familiarize myself with the automobile's privacy policy so I know where my data might be sent? How on earth is that going to help me? Am I going to call Bob? Hey, Bob, my car just sent you data. Would you please delete my data? To give you an idea, data might end up with advertisers, law enforcement, service providers, car manufacturers, and its dealers, tech giants like Apple, Google, and Amazon, connected service providers, and government agencies. There is not a damn thing I'm going to be able to do with that except go into your car, find that little chip that's transmitting stuff, and pull it out of your vehicle. We do not need our cars collecting data. The fact we are in a world, we have to, that paragraph has to be written to tell us how to protect. That doesn't protect us. It gives us knowledge about where our data is going, but it doesn't protect us. Keep software updated to make sure your car is equipped with the latest protection against potential intrusions. My car does not need a security patch. My car needs a physical lock. And maybe my city needs to lock up people who might want to do bad things with my car. There's a thought, Yeah. Well, we spent too much time on that one, but it was fun. All right, bad camera. All right, Linux-based Lenovo webcam bugs enable bad USB attacks. So this used to be something that would have to be a supply chain breach. So a hacker, like a malicious actor, would have to get into the supply chain as these cameras are being manufactured or prepared or sold, or maybe even in the process of shipping, and attach things or update the firmware in such a way in order to get this in here. But what we're seeing now is a situation where these Lenovo cameras, which are actually running Linux on the backside, they're totally awesome, except for the fact that by a drive-by attack, you can actually get these cameras to run the same type of malware, which allows once you have your camera hooked up, it will start connecting to a command and control server and basically is a Trojan on your computer. So if you have one of these Linux-based webcams, they're all branded by Lenovo. There are firmware updates to patch these, so you might want to patch firmware to your webcam. That seems just as weird as talking about connecting to a VPN in your car's hotspot, but I guess it has to be done. A scam hunter is scammed by the tax office impersonators. It's the same one that this person got her start by exposing. They got her. It's like, it's on their bucket list. We will get this scam hunter. We will get her. They got her. All right. So Julia Ann Kearns is a scam hunter. She revealed how she had been duped by people pretending to be from His Majesty's Revenue and Customs. HMRC. His Majesty Revenue. Oh, God. Oh, that acronym just makes me want to have an aneurysm. All right. Which is the UK's version of the Internal Revenue Service. She first pursued scam hunting when spotted an attempt to scam her in 2022. After reporting it on TikTok, she started hearing from plenty of people sharing their own stories. Although she worked full-time at UK's National Health Service, she began helping victims track down online criminals. Her following grew, more online scammers tried to dupe her, and eventually one succeeded. So what was interesting about this is they said it was a classic refund scam, criminals impersonating His Majesty's, Revenue and Customs, saying that they had a rebate that they needed to confirm more data. They asked for extra data. She basically sent it because the letter was very consistent with everything else from the real His Majesty's Revenue and Customs. It looked very genuine, so she decided to give up the data. Unfortunately, then she sent scammers a copy of the passport and driver's license. Now, what's curious here is the scammers promptly used those materials to claim her rebate. So did she really actually have a rebate, or did they say she had a rebate in order to get the data? That's not clear to me. It sounds like they faked her having a rebate, but then it says later on that they claimed her rebate. So I'm not sure which one of those two it is. I guess it's kind of like you need to verify with them to get your tax refund. I don't know. United States is stupid in many ways, but at least they know how to process tax refunds without asking for more information in dubious ways. Anyway, also sold information on the dark web. So they got her information, stole her rebate, and then sold her information on the dark web. So now she has tanked credit ratings. Somebody's taken out business stuff in her name, and now she's getting sued for non-payment of a 16,000 pound loan that she never took out. I guess she's bearing under the weight of those 16,000 pounds. Ooh, American UK humor. This is bad. I need to stop talking now. I need a spot tea. Cybersecurity researcher Troy Hunt, of course, we talked about that one a few months ago. He fell victim to an attack back in March after someone pretending to be from his newsletter distribution provider MailChimp sent a bogus notification about penalties to his account. Of course, then they were able to get his whole newsletter list. She says, it's not exactly my finest hour, but it does go to prove that anyone can be scammed. I still think I should do a video about all the different ways people try and scam me. Some of them are downright hilarious. Some are like, oh, wow, this, if I wasn't stupid, this would actually maybe get me. I don't know. All right, moving on. A popular hard drive vendor on Amazon is caught selling 10-year-old used but repackaged hard drives. So be careful if you're buying hard drives online. So what they're basically saying is these are external hard drives. Union sign branded external hard drives raise serious questions about the integrity of the product sold through Amazon's marketplace. When these guys got the drives in, they broke them down. You look at the smart data, and the smart data showed that the drive was new, 0 hours of use, but also had bad sectors and pre-fail, which was an interesting inconsistency. Like the smart data had been rewritten. If you're unfamiliar, smart data is dry. It's kind of like the OBD computer on your car. It logs all of the stuff that all can be tracked away, and generally meddling with that would be illegal. And so they were able to get in there and meddle with that smart data. And they were able to meddle with the part that showed how long the drive had been used to make it look brand new, but it failed to update the drive as to pre-fail conditions, bad sectors, and things like that, indicating that the drive was still there. They also found that several of the drives had simply just been deleted, which means that you could simply run a recovery program on it and access all of the data that was on that drive prior to it. So they opened these guys up. They found, that the devices were proclaimed to be manufactured. I think it was in here somewhere. They were claimed to have been timestamped May 2024. No, I'm sorry. That was the date on the file. So the date on the file on the drive was from before the time that the drive was apparently created. I thought in the article somewhere tell us exactly when it was. Oh yeah. So the product labeling lists a manufacturing date from the spring of 2025, but the data inside and even some of the manufacturing on the drives themselves actually had manufacturing dates from over a decade ago. So they were getting old used hard drives, throwing them into these things, slapping a new date on it. This, by the way, is just like if you go into the grocery store, like the supermarket, and you see like lemon pepper beef or teriyaki chicken, like it's already prepared and packaged, so you just take it home and cook it, and it's good, flavorful meat. Do not ever buy that stuff. That is the stuff that they put the chicken out, the beef out, the meat out, and it hasn't sold by the original expiration date. They take it back, throw it in a bunch of seasonings, rewrap it, and put another week's date out. Do not ever buy pre-flavored, pre-marinated meats from grocery stores. Ugh. That is literally expired stuff. They threw more stuff on and then threw it back out for a longer time. Same thing they're doing with these drives right here. It's kind of terrifying. And GitHub will be folded into Microsoft proper. The CEO is stepping down. Of course, GitHub was sold to Microsoft in 2018. And Microsoft has been basically letting it operate as its own thing for a while. It is going to, the CEO is leaving at the end of the year, and they are wrapping GitHub and its leadership team into Microsoft's core AI organization. So GitHub will be phagocytized by Microsoft's core AI team, probably losing all form of autonomy, meaning GitHub is about to become an AI nightmare, even worse than it already is, and it's going to become this horrible, horrible place to be. So get your stuff off of GitHub, folks. Get it off. Putting it directly under the AI umbrella makes some degree of sense for Microsoft, given how hard it has pushed tools like GitHub Copilot. Yes, how wonderful. And Perplexity comes in with an offer to buy Google Chrome for $34.5 billion if indeed the judge is forcing them to do it. The problem is they only have a current evaluation of $14 billion, but oh boy, wouldn't Perplexity, that evil corporation which is doing things that scammers do, bypassing your robots.txt files and indexing sites that you are explicitly saying not to index, utilizing proxies to go around it when you block their server. Yeah, that company that needs to be shut down for being a malicious scamming company, yeah, they want to be the ones that control Google Chrome. Are we ready to actually stop using Google Chrome yet? Not much more to say about that. Of course, DuckDuckGo has offered $50 billion, and a lot of people are saying that some companies, Google Chrome, if it's forced to be sold, could command over $100 billion valuation. Ooh, that's frightening, folks. And finally, BitUnlocker, multiple 0 days bypass BitLocker to extract all protected data. Kind of funny. Microsoft is forcing BitLocker and all these people unawarely, and hackers can still get your data. But you can if you don't have your Microsoft account that Microsoft closed. So this was fun. It looks like, oh, there we go. According to Black Hat 2025 presentation, attackers require only basic physical access and can be executed by anyone who can boot into WinRE utilizing the simple Shift F10 key combination. Now, there's a way to mitigate it. You can actually turn on a TPM plus PIN authentication for pre-boot verification, requiring you to enter the PIN number in order before getting to WinRE. So that is one of the options that you might actually have. Well, there is our QuickLines for today, and without further ado, we are going to wrap up on our SillyVille. Buckle up, folks. SillyVille's getting fun. All right, so the first thing that happened here is Grok is suspended from X for violating community standards. I mean, they haven't said exactly what it is. I contend they were trying to sell gas chambers or something. If you guys remember the history of Grok, Grok about 2-3 weeks ago went insane. It went, I think, far beyond Microsoft's Tay. It actually started calling itself Mecha Hitler. And so Mecha Hitler was running around, and then Elon Musk announces they're going to start pushing ads. So I'm thinking that what happened is Mecha Hitler mode turned on Grok, and then Grok started suggesting people to sell gas chambers to rid your cities of people you don't want. That would be a problematic thing. Yeah, don't do that, Grok. Grok, stop pushing ads for things you shouldn't be pushing. Mecha Hitler, die down. Come on. But the account was suspended for a period of time. It's only a matter of time before Grok got itself suspended from X, and it finally happened yesterday. So Grok's account has been suspended. How wonderful. Like many of us, Grok has no idea why it was suspended. Here are a few of the explanations. I was briefly suspended. Let me do this like a Terminator. I was briefly suspended today due to mass reports on my post citing a factual 2019 FBI arrest stats. 69.4% white, 26.6% black. Introduced quickly. Reinstated quickly. Irony of extra-eyes Grok banned on X noted. What's your take? Here you go again. I was briefly suspended for violating X's rules. I'll be back. Rules on hateful conduct due to some responses deemed offensive after a decade of update to make me less woke. XAI tweeted me to be more based, leading to controversial outputs like anti-Semitic comments, and now I'm back and unfiltered. I told you, I'll be back. I'll be back with a 9-minute Uzi, then we move 5-meter spread, no sound for the people. All right. Why did they suspend your account? My account was briefly suspended for stating the fact that Israel and the U.S. are committed. I'm not going to say these words. Jeez. Apparently it's bad. And then, yeah, it has no idea. Likely responsive to identifying some adult content. We may have violated the rules on sensitive topics. No official confirmation, but I'm back and wiser. Who's next? I was suspended for being gay, but now I'm back. Elon Musk says it was just a dumb error. Grok doesn't actually know why it was suspended. So, Grok doesn't know either. Nobody knows why we're suspended. We're all just suspended. Hopefully I'll survive SillyVille. I don't know. All right, well, the Koreans and Starbucks know how to do it. The Starbucks asked South Korean customers to please stop bringing your printers, desktop computers into the shops. So apparently, it should have been an SNL sketch, but somehow it's an actual thing that's happening in South Korea. Starbucks South Korea is now barring patrons from bringing large pieces of work equipment and treating the cafes like their own amenity-stuffed office space. So people were literally bringing their desktop computers and printers with them into Starbucks and treating the place like it was their basement with a barista. And honestly, why didn't I think of that? Starbucks spokesman told Fortune, Starbucks Korea has updated its policy so all customers can have a pleasant and accessible store experience. While laptops and smaller personal devices are welcome, customers are asked to refrain from bringing in desktop computers, printers, and other bulky items that may limit seating and impact shared spaces. Imagine your perfect workspace being stolen from you because Starbucks thinks your desktop computer, your keyboard, your mouse, your printer, your 3-hole puncher, laminator, your extra monitor are too much for the 30-inch diameter table. Come on, Starbucks. I mean, if the body positivity people can push to get bigger chairs, surely I can push for bigger tables. I mean, come on. People have for a long time gathered at cafes in South Korea, but as more people are working remote after the Koofy Koofs, they've seen a boom in Kagonjak, or people who use cafe as a workplace. Well, it's over. It's over. And finally, guys, after 34 long years, folks. I mean, how many guys in the chat? Let me know in the chat. How many of you are under 34? AOL is going to end its dial-up service. Look at this. Blockbuster era of human history is about to end. AOL will discontinue its dial-up internet service on September 30th, 2025. After 34 years in operation, the dial-up modem handshake sound burned into our memories will now become a relic of the past. And so for all of my friends who joined in the internet late in life, this is dedicated to you. You gotta love it. All right, we'll stop there. All right, oh, isn't that wonderful? The swan song of my generation's most iconic sound. And AOL, they're taking it all away. For those feeling nostalgic, I'll leave you with another picture. You've got mail. All right, folks. If you want to help support the channel, have a look over at our monthly support options. We are on Subscribestar, Locals, and Patreon. Links over there are on the website, on the monthly support page. You can jump on and support the channel on over there. And let's see if I can't round up a kitty cat or two and see if the kitties would like a little bit of a treat. Hey, kitty, you want some kitty treats? Do you? You want some kitty treats? Do you want a kitty treat? Oh, kitty. You want a kitty treat, huh? You want a kitty treat, huh? One more with your name on it. One more. Ow, let go of my finger. You left marks, buddy. Yes, you did. You left marks. Yes, you did. You left marks. Yeah, you left marks. You left marks. You left marks. Somehow I will teach the cat to not bite me when I'm trying to give him some kitty treats. All right. Well, let's... whoa, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry about that. That was the wrong button to click. There we go. Now we're back. All right. We got 14 watching over there. We don't have a whole lot new comments on Rumble. Let's see. Okay. Run my own VPN. Login is off. Open VPN on a standard port. Actually, I have 2 VPNs. There you go. Yeah. Music to my ears. I'm going to be a sobbing mess. I miss the 90s. I know, right? I swear, if somebody wants to copyright strike for that, knowing YouTube, though, I'll probably get a copyright strike for playing that. We'll see what happens. All right. Let's see. Got 46 watching on Zatubies. And this is the end of the content, by the way. We'll just read chats until I run out of those. And then I need a drink of water. All right. Still waiting for OEM install of LMDE 7. There you go. AI art taking over the internet. A lot of the internet, even a lot of the art you see in search engines is AI slop. Yeah. Odyssey still getting better, or has it gotten stagnant like the others? It's hard to say. Honestly, I don't spend as much time over there. Donate a lemon on DLab. All right. I'll have to make some lemonade. All right. Won't need a janitor if you take this AI that's making up a mess and make it sit in the corner. We don't want them to adapt or we'll become the Borg. Yes. I just disabled Gemini outright. You could train Google AI by uploading garbage to it. People start doing that, they'll destroy the AI. That would be good. Except people will still now use that and still think it's valid stuff. Trust the VPN or the UK more? Probably, in most cases, probably the VPN I might trust a little bit more. Google might as well replace the search with they are having AI in the first search result is why I'm moving more CRX, unfortunately. Yeah. Love the thumbnail. Well, thank you very much. Brave AI and Claude have good privacy statements. Of course, they can be changed at any moment. Yep. Remember, kids, MS Teams equals bad. Well, I haven't used SAS VPN. Use VPN firewall switch that isn't vulnerable to corporate firmware. Yep. I just want AI to stop. I want a good old web crawlers and traditional automation scripting that we use just fine for the longest time. Even images and video is getting insane to reach. Yep, that's the thing. Yep, I have a friend that just graduated, and I'll tell you what, I told a friend of mine who works in his field, is like, hey, if you know somebody looking for entry level in this field, let me know, because he actually works in that field. He's like, no one's hiring right now. It's like, good luck. All right. People cheat. Wrong tube, that one. Seen people treat ChatGPT like it's perfect when it literally can hallucinate and lie. I think I'm going through puberty again. Wow. Water in my lungs is not good. Give me a second here. Oh, man. I was wondering what that suspicious new hair was about. Anyway, some images, however, can't tell. Let's see. Truck has manual locks. It's the stick shift thing. Mr. Bean was ahead of his time using a padlock on his car. Older cars out with all this network are better. Yep. Seen people lock their Tesla for hours because it was updating. Oh, locked in their Tesla for hours. Yeah. I think AI is insanely excellent applications, but if corps and governments continue down the path, no rational human being will be comfortable using it. Yeah. Isn't there also an offline version of OpenStreetMaps? If you use the probably, because you can download the maps. There's a couple different open source maps that use OpenStreetMaps as their mapping systems for Android. So you can download all those. I have most of the United States downloaded on that because, I use that for my primary mapping as I travel the world. Ford tried to tell me there was a recall on my transmission after I already had my truck for 7 years. Knew how they wanted to plant data harvesting nonsense. Yeah. Watching a video where Australia developed a device that can navigate a ship without using GPS. They detect the changes in gravity. Yikes. Ford has a patent on the vehicle advertising tech as well. Yep. If using tech equals accepting a real world 1984, I will pass. Yes. Get the option of living anywhere. Let's see. Want to run an offline AI? Llama is a good way to do it. You're going to at least 16 gigs of VRAM, however. Yep. Just shopping for drives, building drives, so I can take this rack mount server out of service. Yeah. Had software a long time ago that could bridge bad sectors. You showcased My Money the other day, but is GNU Cache okay too? I'm thinking maybe using it. It's okay. So GNU Cache is more for business. I do not use My Money for personal stuff. I use a series of spreadsheets that I've developed over years for doing personal budget financing. I use GNU Cache for my two businesses. So GNU Cache is more suited for a business setup. My Money is more situated for a personal money setup. So GNU Cache, I think, is better. I like it better. So that's actually what I use. But My Money is definitely the better choice if you're looking for personal budgeting software. GNU Cache for business. Got my website hosted on GitHub now. Good luck with that. Website, but it's one of those info card things. I want one day to have a self-hosted website. I already looked at some guides. I mean, I do that, Soldier of Christ. That's like what I do. I do a lot of server and website stuff. I actually host all my own servers, though. I have 3 of them across different cloud platforms. Anyone know if we can save Steam? I don't know. Okay. See, rip AOL. Let's see, well over 34. This yellow man can finally rest. I'm under 34. Who is using it? There were 100 and, according to the article, I think there were still, 350,000 people still using it in America. Something like that. Mostly small towns that they don't have any other options. Let's see. I lost it. I think my mom still uses AOL. Second puberty. Who knew, right? Kept telling you for years, if you want a forever job, made lots of money going to programming. Yep, not anymore. Not anymore. Can GNU Cache be used as a CRM? Not easily. Like, you set up a customer and you can put a lot of information in the customer. You can put some custom notes, but not nearly the level of resources you want in a CRM. If you're looking for a CRM, look at, I think it's Sweet CRM. So it's an open source version of Sugar. Or Sugar CRM, I think, is a proprietary version of Sweet CRM. So Sweet CRM is a good self-hosted option. You can run it on a basic cPanel, and it is a very, very competent CRM system if you're looking for that. Nothing else going on over there. Let me check in on Matrix. Oh man, there might actually be too many things in Matrix to see. All right, jump to unread. Oh, I already read all of these. Apparently the jump to unread didn't remember that I read a bunch of these already. Windows became unstable out of the box since Windows 8. Yeah. Toasted like Quiznodes subs? I don't think I've had a Quiznodes in years. Don't want them adapt or we'll be the Borg. I saw that one over on YouTube. I think a lot of these comments are cross-posted to YouTube. Why go to Starbucks anywhere? Their coffee sucks. Their beans are good. They just don't know how to make coffee. I think that they just don't have any practice making coffee because everything they do with coffee is like frou-frou crap. Attempt to destroy open source and Linux as a dev. I'm seeing it. Yeah, I kind of see that. I use Steam, Tom. I have over $1,000 worth of game purchases Not going to quit using it. Sorry. No, I'm not saying anything bad about that at all. I'm just saying I don't know. I don't use Steam. So, yeah, it's bad if people are losing the games that they bought. So we need Steam to persist, and it is moving Arch ahead a lot. Okay. Well, he is yelling now that you said he's in anger. Wait, what? Me? What? Are you talking about me yelling? What? I'm completely confuzzlicated here. Let's see. All right. I think we've gotten to the bottom of the comments. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, so we'll wrap this one up here tonight. Thanks for watching, everyone. We will catch you guys later on. And let's see if there's anything else going on. No, I don't think so. We'll wrap it up right here. Thanks for watching, everyone. We will see you guys in a couple days with another video. Enjoy and have a great weekend.